Pod. Today's episode, we'll be talking about the Q&A. The reason that I'm kind of rushing into today's episode rather than, going through last week's episode, what we talked about and all the recap stuff, is that we have gotten a lot more questions than what we expected. So we'll go through them and then try to not go overboard with the amount of time and everything. Pauline's going to be doing all the questions. Pauline, do you want to take it away?
Okay. I think the first one's fun. So obviously as photographers, we're always behind the camera, but how do you like feeling being in front of the camera? Or do you like photos taken of you, just the other way around type of thing? What do you think?
I always tell my clients that there's a reason that I'm behind the camera.
Yeah, same.
Well, there was this previous wedding. Eugene was taking my photos a lot.
Yeah.
And then there was this one prompt where look at each other.
Yeah.
And that was the weirdest feeling.
I was copying exactly what John was doing. John was going through the same thing, so I was like, okay, I'll do the same thing to John. And so I
realized how weird it was.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but you guys have both had weddings, right? Where you had a photographer. So was that weird?
For me, it wasn't because it was, I think, I was just thinking of a lot of things. I was just nervous with the wedding itself, not with the photography.
I think it's much weirder when it's just by yourself taking the photos. Yes. But if I have, having my wife next to it, and I think the wedding photo is a little bit different. I think you're not there to take the photos; you're there for a wedding, and that's someone's just capturing the wedding. So that's, I think, a little bit different. I didn't really think too much about it when during the actual wedding. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. If it's a photo of just myself, I'm definitely really awkward. If it's like a group, definitely not as awkward. Even if it's like two people, I'm still like, oh, this is weird.
But one funny thing about that is that when there's no photographer, like for example, like if doing let's say you going live on Instagram or doing a YouTube video or something like that, that is like, because there's no one else in the room but you and the camera, that is okay. But I think when there's a photographer behind it and trying to take a photo, and when it feels like there's someone just watching you, it just feels it just feels weird.
Or maybe like if you're traveling and you just ask a stranger to take a photo on your phone, that maybe is less weird. Mm-hmm. I think it's when it's like a professional camera with, a body and the lens. That's when it's like, make it more legit. And you're like, that's going to see all my wrinkles.
So
all my pores.
So basically we're intimidated by other photographers.
Well, we're not in. Probably all the listeners probably know that we'll be in Hawaii soon, and we'll be all three of us will be together. So we'll let you guys know.
Yep.
Yeah, just know I will never be a model because that's intimidating, especially with like more than 15, cameras pointing at you.
It's hard with it's hard because not in this age, we're doing a lot of branding, and it's very important to present yourself in a certain way. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, you have to have your photos taken. So it's hard for introverts to deal with that, but it has to be done, right?
Yes, for sure. All right, next question, which I think it's a good one as well. So what do you like best about each other's work?
Ooh. I need to think about this.
Not much to like about me.
No, that's not true. John, I like your work because, I think I've said this to you both already. Like, I can tell when it's your work. I can tell yours apart, even if it's in the same location and the same people. I can tell. Even before I see your name, I can already tell. John's, yours is very, very colorful, more saturated. And Eugene, I just know. I don't know what it is. I just know with you. Maybe it's like the type of editing. Maybe it's the couples. I'm not sure. I can tell that it's you. And I love all your like more landscape and wide shots. And like those a lot.
So for Eugene, the reason I know is because I know what Eugene is looking for all the time. He's looking for, I guess if I'm gonna describe it with one word, it's epic. So like epic landscapes or something special with a photo.
Yeah.
And then your editing
see
style
that.
is like clean. That's how I would describe it. It's clean.
Yeah. It's natural. It's very natural. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
And then for Pauline, I like how because I like dark and moody, but that's how I would describe yours. It's moody.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't describe mine as dark and moody. Have you
Oh,
seen Dark and Moody?
Maybe not dark and moody, but moody, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I know you're using like 35 and 85 mil. I do like how your composition.
Thank you.
And storytelling.
Thanks.
All right, pressure is on for me. Going
He
last.
doesn't like our work.
Yeah, I guess there's nothing.
No. No. All right. To start with Pauline's work, I don't want to talk too much about the technical side of things, but I do like the feelings that gets captured behind with all the couples. It's never about still movement. It's about just still movement. That doesn't make sense. It's never about being still. It's about, it can be about laughter. It's also always about bringing out different kind of emotions. And that seems very, very, how should I put it? Very candid,
Yep.
It just seems like even though I never met the couples, I can probably know what those couples' personalities are like and all that. So having, being able to bring that sort of like, because I think that's the hardest thing to do in photography is that you're taking a still image and trying to capture that emotion to come out from that image is something quite amazing. And I feel like Pauline does that really well. And then just keeping throughout the gallery, I think Pauline keeps all the images, editing and everything very consistent. I'm always get amazed by how well you do with with not so much experience. But yeah, that's pretty amazing. John, I love all the creative endeavor that always trying different things, always trying to learn, always trying to shoot in different angles and trying to see what works and what doesn't work. I think it always comes down to trial and error and being able to. I think being courageous enough to kind of go through that process of not being scared of like other people saying like that's not really good image kind of thing. It's quite amazing sort of like personality to have. And I don't know, I think it's just because probably I know John's work so much that it's don't know where is the sort of like cutoff boundary in terms of like his like real work versus his like the trial phase kind of thing. but yeah, it's also with John, I think how little experience, I'm saying little, but less experience, the amount of things that you can create is quite amazing. Come so far already. So yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so warm and fuzzy. No, it's so interesting. Like, I'm so excited to be in person and watch you guys because, I mean, it was such a short period where we were, together. Right. But I'm excited to do that again.
Yeah.
It means a lot because I did my first associate shoot with you, and I never know if it's like I did good enough with like what I delivered.
So when you associate shoot for him, do you kind of still do your own style? Do you have Eugene in mind? Like, oh, this is what he would do, or do you kind of just do your own thing?
I balance it. I guess I do like the must-have shots, like the typical shots that Eugene would have, like walking shots.
Yeah, of course.
Like certain shots, but there are gonna be like some shots that's gonna be me, like the creative that Eugene might not do.
Yeah.
But when I second shoot with him, he delivers some of those photos too. So I guess the couple would really never know if it's my shot or his shot. So.
And Eugene, do you ever have like things for John, like, oh, please get this type of shot, or do you kind of like just let him do what he wants for the most part?
I think at this point, I just let him just do whatever he wants. Because I think I don't want to I think because he's just done the first associate photography side of things, and I think I don't want to overwhelm him in terms of you have to get. If I give him a list of shot list, I think it will be a little bit too early for him to kind of look at his shot list. Oh, I have to do this at this point, and I have to do this at that point, and all that kind of stuff. So just having sort of more freedom of creativity, I think will work better with John. Maybe in the future, if he gets more used to some of the shoots, and if he can do more weddings by himself, maybe I'll give him probably 100 shot list, and it'll be a challenge. It'll be a challenge. How many can you get? But I think also, we're going a little bit off topic up here, but I think it comes down to John learning what's important by himself as well. Because if I give him the shot list and I'm processing what's important, then he will never learn about the what's important part of things. So being able to listen to, having an open ear and having, listen to what the clients want and being able to create a shot in that way is also, I think, very important.
So I'm adding a question here because I kind of want to relate back to the other one.
Okay.
Now we're kind of tooting our own horn, but what do you like best about your own work? Because I think that's harder to say and kind of put into words, I think. Or if that's too hard, then maybe what is something that you want to maybe really hone in on, improve on, specifically your work? Or maybe you notice this is something, I've done really well and I want to highlight on that more. Or
right. I guess for me, what I really want to strive for is how to stand out. I know that's going to be really hard because, there's so many amazing photographers, and I guess to really make it in this profession is, I guess, you have to really stand out, and that's what I'm striving for. I just want to do my best, and hopefully I attract clients that would see my work differently. Yeah,
you probably don't see it, but I kind of mentioned this already, but you already do stand out. Like I said, the fact that I can tell you guys apart from everyone else, it's already kind of speaks for itself. Obviously, we're our own worst critics, but definitely, I think you continue to do what you're doing, and I think you'll be successful and you'll be already standing out.
Thank you.
It's already different from everyone else, just in my opinion. So
yeah, definitely. Pauline, do you want to go next? Asking your own question.
Answering your own question.
Give Eugene some time.
Well, I really appreciate what you said about, what you liked most about my work. I do kind of like to focus on the relationship between the couple themselves and kind of highlight them versus necessarily what's around them, or just, the location and what's around them is just a little cherry on top. It's just to add to, the vibe and the feel. But what I like to capture most is the love and the relationship and the feeling. So I definitely want to continue to do that. And I do appreciate that I can do that. Obviously I don't show the boring ones, like the boring must-have shots where they're actually looking at me. I don't take a lot of those, only a few throughout the day. Those obviously are necessary, but I try not to do that. I always don't look at me unless I'm actually asking you to look at me, which is really rare, to be honest. So I think that's how I get those photos, type of thing. So
yeah, I just want to add into that, that's the one of the things that I really like about your work is the storytelling is probably everybody says that, but I feel like that's what you really I see with your work.
Thank you.
I can really tell what's going on with a specific session that you just had, and that's very noticeable.
Thanks. Yeah, I want to work on that some more, especially in a full gallery. I think it's even harder to tell a story through the whole gallery versus just 10 photos on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, Eugene, you're up.
No, the reason I was kind of thinking through is, I guess I was trying to come up with the right words to describe what I want to do. Not what I like about my work, but that's the thing. I think you're right. I think we are the worst critic what I like to do is the fine art, and it's not really the fine art that how people see the fine art as. Like a lot of people think the fine art is like light and airy, and that's it. The fine art, like meaning of the definition of fine art, is having my thoughts, the creator's thoughts behind that image, to tell the story of the subjects and stuff. So my goal is, I think I'm always kind of looking for that, like John said, the epic shot. It's through that one image I want to tell their story, in terms of just by adding a lot of different elements to it. So like some of the images that I submit to some of the photography awards competition, all that kind of stuff is. There was one image that that this couple had really hardship in terms of getting married. So they've been in a relationship for quite a while, and there's been some disagreement in terms of family, and so they couldn't get married for the first 2 years. And while that was being settled, and then once they kind of decided they are going to go ahead with the wedding, the groom's grandfather died, and they had to push it back a little bit further. And then the COVID hit, and then they couldn't get married again, all that kind of stuff. So I want to tell that into the story, and that's the sort of like the image that I created with the Cypress Tunnel view. And it was really the Cypress Tunnel was creating the long sort of like long journey that they were in, and then I used the backlight to kind of use the light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. So when people see an image like that, I want people to kind of get a sense of the story of that couple, in terms of vibe, in terms of their mood, in terms of what they're doing, in terms of posing and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's my ultimate goal. There's so many things that I still need to improve on in order to deliver that message correctly, in terms of posing, in terms of lighting, in terms of just a lot of different elements. That's what I'm striving for. So like instead of telling the story in multiple different images, hopefully using one to create real fine art photography kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And I think everyone who sees that image also will have a different story, like different maybe version or their own
interpretation
take on it. So yeah, I think super interesting. Yeah. I can see how you're starting to do more of that as well. And yeah, just, take a bit of John and just be unafraid to do it, take those chances, be creative, just let your mind, go. Don't think too much about it. And a lot of the times it might not work. So it's just about
it's been that
trying.
way. And then, but yeah, hopefully I'm heading in the right direction. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think we need to get on to more questions. Okay. I'm going to skip this one. Do you tend to get repeat clients? For example, a client that booked you for engagement and then a wedding, and then maybe, they get pregnant. So you do maternity and then kind of go through all the life cycles, basically. How often do you have those?
Before I answer that question, I think it's important to know it's getting a repeat question as a wedding photographer is not a good thing.
Yes.
No, not as a wedding photographer, but a photographer in general.
That was a joke. Sorry. Go ahead.
Have you gone the same couple?
Eugene did.
No,
really?
I haven't. No,
I know.
I
thought you did that.
No. But I have a friend who she shot the same bride 3 times.
Wow.
That's rough.
I mean, hey.
Well, she must be doing a lot of things right.
Yeah. Hilarious. See, okay, if I had that, I don't know if I'd be like, ooh, you did that last time, let's do this pose again. Like, that's just weird.
Oh boy.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that's probably why she came back 3rd time, because like probably when she was doing the 2nd time, like she probably liked it, and like that, like there wasn't any awkward situation like that. But yeah, there you
She'll
go.
be like, just let's do that other post that we did the last time.
You remember that? Like 2 years ago?
And the husband like, what is he talking about?
The last one was he was a little bit taller, wasn't he? Like,
Yeah, it won't work. It won't work this time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, for me, I've had a lot of because I started doing free shoots. So now my second year, they started to come back, but for different reasons. I think I only have 2 repeats right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, different.
Was that an engagement session to wedding or wedding to family or
family to a birthday photo, and then an engagement to a wedding.
okay? I've gotten more questions about like if I do like a newborn sessions, a maternity session, and all that kind of stuff. And at that time, I wasn't really doing those, and so I was like,
Yeah.
so those weren't really a repeat customers. Like it would have been like if I had done it, but there was I think most of my engagement sessions are either or like they're already my wedding clients, but they're doing engagement sessions, or they're engagement sessions that they're getting married in Korea. So neither of those are actual like repeat customers either. There was one, actually the most recent shoot that I've done is I did a family session there. They live in Korea. This session was the bride and the newly born. She's now 2 years old. And the parents of the bride came to the States for travel, and I did the shoot for them. So for them, that was fourth time that I did the shoot. Yeah, I have a few, but yeah, not a ton. I think that's also dependent on the geographical side of things as well. So because most of the couples that come to Vegas to get married, they don't live here, so it's kind of hard to do the newborn session and family maternity, which now I do. Anyone who's kind of looking forward to doing those, please reach out. But yeah.
I've gotten a few. Mostly it's people that I know that are friends, and so because we are friends, they're just like, oh, we know you and we feel comfortable with you. Similar to you, a lot of my proposal clients are not from here, so obviously it wouldn't be a repeat. But I think also I don't technically market myself as wedding or couple photographer. I don't necessarily do baby or newborn. And so if someone does come to me and ask, like, I probably would refer them to someone else because it's not something I personally want to do and want to do in the future. And so unless, again, if they're like a close friend or something, then I would do it for them. But I mean, I think that's why there's, niches, right? There's photographers for specific things. And so, I want to support, especially a local one.
Yeah.
Well, so.
And I guess for the listeners who don't really know what we're talking about in terms of like the wedding photography versus maternity or newborn, even though they're all portrait sessions, they're very different from one another.
There's nuances that you have to.
Yeah, not all wedding photographer. It will be definitely easier than someone who's never held a camera, but it's definitely different from one another. Just because you photograph with for the wedding, this doesn't always mean that we'll do maternity and newborn as well.
Yeah, especially newborn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Newborn is very specific. Yeah.
I mean, especially the style that they want, like the studio, type.
Yep.
Same with family. Like for me, I don't normally do family photos, but like I said, if they really request me, then I would consider it. But yeah.
I think for me. Sorry.
I don't know if do you guys post, kids on your website and stuff?
Not on my website, but on my Instagram I did.
Yeah.
Because I do some family photos.
Yeah.
It's probably my least favorite of thing to.
Yeah.
I like doing it, but it's probably like, I guess it's not my strength. I like doing couples more.
I feel like I have a little bit different approach to it. Like family photos, I don't do just straight up family photos. It's always like a travel related. So it's more of a travel photo. But I think with the baby side of things, every baby sessions that I've done, even though those clients are not my friends, it almost become a friend. Like it's never really like, I don't have that stress of have to create something kind of thing. So I'm more relaxed. I'm just going there to just kind of document the day and all that. So in that sense, I don't mind it.
That's what I like about it, because a lot of the family, actually, that's my thing. It's because they're my friends. It's hard to refuse.
Yeah.
do their family photos. So,
Yeah.
but in that sense, like it's just kind of like just hanging out with them, spending time with them. So
Yeah.
I don't mind it as well. But
Yeah.
like what I'm saying, it's a me thing. Like if I feel like I'm not gonna deliver like the best photo for them or what they deserve, then I would refer it to somebody else. But if I feel like I can do what they have in mind, then, or if it's in line with what I like to do, like, more of like an outdoorsy, going for a walk in a nice park, sunset, then yeah, I would do it. Yeah.
Yeah, like for me, I've done a lot of family photos, but I never post them. I don't think I posted any family photos in anywhere really. It was just like the one baby one that I turned into a reel, and I thought it was cute. So that was the only reason why I asked the parents if I could. But otherwise, I feel uncomfortable for some reason posting kids on my Instagram or anything. But I guess if you're a client out there, I think if you have had a photographer in the past, don't hesitate to ask. Like the worst thing, they'll just refer you to someone else if you really like their style, or obviously if you feel comfortable with them. So even if they don't, advertise or post any of their previous family photos or whatever, doesn't mean they don't shoot them. So always ask.
Cool.
Alrighty.
Next
Question. I guess we can talk more about like the actual session itself. How much posing and directing of the couple do you do during a session?
I think that depends on the couple.
Yeah.
I think naturally I like things to just run its course just by itself. Sometimes even if they're natural, sometimes like they may be not in the best light. For example, like if they're looking and if the light is coming from one side, and if they're looking at each other, then one person's face in the shade and one person's in the light, kind of thing. So just in those sense, I'm just trying to kind of pose and direct in a way that they get better lighting and all that. But yeah, I try to do minimal as possible. I won't see a pose, or I won't see a situation where I will just leave it to go wrong, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So for me, I try to so in the beginning, I basically do some assessment to see how comfortable they are, how they move.
Yeah.
And usually they'll tell you like, where should I put my hand? So that's a clue, like, okay, they don't know what they're gonna do. So that's when I have to take over. So I take cues like that, and if they know what they're doing, of course I back off, and as long as the lighting is okay, I'll just position them in a certain way. But it just really depends on every couple.
Quick question on that one. Do you feel when a couple is asking like, where should I put my hands and things like that, do you feel like in those situations, I think the reason that they're asking is because I've already guided them too much. I've been doing too much talking. So they're maybe already thinking that way. Maybe like for this certain pose, like I haven't said much. So like I'm like they're asking for my guidance. But so like to that, I usually say like try to put it where you wouldn't normally put it. and if it's like, if I usually say like, if I don't say anything, you're doing great. Like I'm not very good at doing two things at once. So if I focus too much on taking the photos, then I've sometimes like maybe miss out on the praising on how well you guys are posing and all that. But so that way I think that they just relax a little bit and then just let them, because I think a lot of people know, like they want, like consciously they won't know where to put their hands, but naturally they know. So I don't know how you guys feel about my whole process.
I guess it's just I think some people are just different. Some people are. Yeah. It's like it's their first time having their photographs taken, or like the actual like lifestyle session. For example, like taking them out on nice place, and it's their first time doing that. So I think they're like at the beginning they're conscious and they're nervous. So sometimes they're out of their element. So sometimes they just don't know. But yeah, some people, just like what Eugene was saying, if you tell them like, just do normally what you're doing, typically, they know where to put their hands. Like especially if they're a couple and then you tell them, how do you normally hold each other? So that's what one of my first poses that I would do. Okay, just face each other and just hold each other like how you would normally do, and they'll figure it out. Like do some stuff, and then if it looked, and then again I would assess that. But typically walking shots are like the best because it's just walking. It's the most normal thing.
You'd be surprised. Some people walking is very awkward.
I haven't encountered that yet, but typically when they walk, it's like, okay, it's pretty good.
I've had some. I'm like, I don't even know what to say because you think walking is normal. The walk is not normal. You're like,
oh, you have to teach them how to walk.
I think at that point they're just like thinking about it too much. Like, I'm getting photographed.
Just like what I'm saying, it's like nervousness sometimes.
Yeah.
They're just way, they were just overthinking things, and it happens. It's normal. So yeah.
I do agree with Eugene, but I think for me, I don't say much, and so usually when I don't say anything, they're like, "Oh, am I doing something wrong?" But I don't know. I'm more quiet. Like you typically won't hear me. I'm trying to force myself to, give them more comments and stuff, but it's just I don't know. It's like a weird thing for me to do, and I don't want to keep repeating. Oh, this is so beautiful. Keep doing that. Like it just sounds It's not saying it's fake, but I'm doing it internally, like in my head, like, wow, this is so nice.
Yeah.
Like. And maybe I am too into my head, like, ooh, maybe I should move a little this way. I'm trying to get this done perfectly behind them or whatever. But for me, if I'm quiet, usually it's not working, but it is the opposite.
Yeah. And to me, I also have to remind myself to slow down because sometimes like I feel like I'm rushing in my brain, like, oh, next pose, like thinking of the next pose. I feel like everything would be better if everything's just relaxed, and the couple will also be relaxed if you're relaxed.
And for me, what gives me the most anxiety is when the couple's like, okay, what should we do next? I hate that. I hate that, like putting me on the spot, like, ooh, and then I get all like tense. I'm like, ooh, like I didn't have anything next. Like I did, but when they ask me, I get all like nervous for
frazzled,
something.
Yeah.
The
two things that I do when they ask me that is do that one more time. or give each other a kiss.
Yeah.
Those are best
I do that. I do that a lot now because now I'm doing video. So they're like, I thought sometimes they're wondering like, oh, there's no clicks or whatever. It's like, what is he doing? It's like, okay, do that again.
That's why you need to have the video sound on.
No,
I don't think so. No. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I do wonder, maybe because like I haven't been on the other side of the camera very much, but like I do wonder if they do think about, oh, she's clicking. That means, she's taking a lot or not taking a lot. Or, I do wonder if they even are hearing that or even thinking about it. Probably not. I'm probably just, because when with John, like when I am taking a few seconds of footage, I'm like, ooh, do they think I'm not taking any photos right now, but I'm still pointing my camera at them?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny. Yeah, so I guess I never really answered that question, but for me, always depends on the couple. Some of them are very easy, like they already get into the perfect poses, so they really require a little direction. Yeah. Some definitely needs more. It's not that they're better or worse, but it's just I think a lot of times it's how comfortable they are with you, not necessarily just being in front of the camera, but just with you and the environment itself.
There were also a couple that I photographed and they weren't comfortable kissing. They're not. They were explaining to me that we're not used to PDA, and then I was like, just for this one time you need to. this is your wedding. So I was like,
you know what? I actually don't think I ever asked them to kiss because I never know, and I think it comes naturally if they do feel comfortable kissing and they just do it automatically, and then that's when I'm like, okay, you can kiss. But I don't think I actually asked them because I don't want to make them feel awkward.
Right.
And I think you can tell right away if they are comfortable with each other and doing that.
The reason that I started asking is because there was one couple, like in my first year, that like I delivered the entire gallery. There was only one image of them kissing. And the bride was like, oh, I thought because this is a honeymoon photo, I thought there would be more kissing photos. So I was like, okay, okay,
What?
okay.
Okay.
But
Oh my
I think that comes down to cultural thing as well.
Yeah.
Like it's
It really
like in
depends.
Korea, for example, like they're not. I think more couples nowadays are a little bit getting used to, having more public showing that affection kind of thing. But generally, it's not really that much. So like, I guess they don't really know when to kiss and kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So after that, I was like, oh, okay, I need to actually direct them to the kiss. Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Okay.
But I guess that comes to, again, communicating with their clients, right? Because they will tell you if they're not comfortable, just like what they did to me. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was one couple that I was photographing their wedding as well, but they weren't gonna kiss until their wedding day.
Wow.
So engagement
Ever?
session was
Interesting.
apparently
Okay.
So engagement session we had like no kissing photos. Yeah. So so you'll be
I mean,
surprised. There are all different kind of people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Or they're okay with it, but they don't want you to post those.
yeah, that's it.
Do you guys advise your clients to practice kissing on camera?
Practice? No. I never that thought never come across my mind.
But on my recent wedding, I actually had but I tried something different. Like, okay, don't actually kiss, just part your lips. like really cueing them, like okay, just directing the exact moment. And I don't know, I kind of like the photo
Okay.
that
Yeah.
I think a lot of the photographers do that. The almost a kiss.
yeah.
Yes.
But that's not part of the practicing kissing.
No.
But like I saw someone that like actually like it's part of their bridal guide.
wow.
Like how to
Wow,
kiss on
okay.
camera. Yeah.
Wow.
It's like
All
part
right.
of like education of the bride, basically.
I feel like this answer is getting weirder. Can we move on to the next question?
yeah, let's move on. Yeah.
I mean, we are taking a lot of time now. How about we can do a few more? Have you ever had to pivot a client's idea instead of going with what they wanted? Like, for example, they come up with maybe a certain idea or something, and you're like, no.
So what I try to do is like what I always say is, well, you're talking about like posing.
Yeah, it could be posing or like maybe even an area or location or something.
Oh, for a location, I just give them suggestions, and at the end of the day, it's their final decision. But I would tell them like how the lighting is and whatnot. When it comes to poses, if they want to try something, I would say, yeah, let's give that a try. And if it doesn't work out, I just move on.
Yeah.
I think with posing, I always listen to them because that's the reason that they're suggesting is because something they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
That's something that maybe they have tried, maybe they have practiced. But oftentimes with like a location or like even coming down to like choosing a location, oftentimes they like if they suggest, then I would just tell them the reason that I chose a certain location over the others, and then just let them choose. I'm quite open to their. I think I feel like that's that's sort of like my job description. Like I'm trying to take their photos in the best way that they like. So I'm trying to listen to their sort of like suggestions and opinions, but at the same time, I'm trying to have a way to come up with a shot that's worthy of that location and all that. So, yeah.
Basically, compromise. Because sometimes there are clients wherein there are locations for them that are very important, like engagement sessions. They want to get an engagement. I mean, do their engagement photos in a certain location that's special for them, like Valley of Fire.
So that sort of thing happens quite a lot in somewhere like San Francisco or LA, and so like downtown LA and Santa Monica is completely opposite end of the other. They're not far away, but because of the traffic, it can take up to an hour or even more just to relocate. So if they say like, we want to do a session in downtown LA, but we also want to do sunset photos by, Santa Monica. And then I give them a suggestion. They're getting to make the decision. Like I'm not saying no to it. Yeah.
Okay. The last one in terms of clients and sessions, when you are setting up a shot, do you already know what you want to do with in terms of like the editing, or is it happening while you're setting it up?
Oh, John and I am going to have a completely different answer here.
I think I'm Team John on this one.
For me, yeah, because I go with the flow more, and I like to try a lot of things. Now there's like certain shots that I plan. I use things like the Ring of Fire. It's becoming a profile photo for a lot of my couples, but yeah, I like delivering that. So that's the one thing that's planned, and there's some good to it, like being intentional of some of the shots. Most of the time, I go with the flow, and yeah, I have some must-have shots, but I try not to be super restrictive.
Shall we go up like gradually in the spectrum?
I mean, it depends on the type of shot. Like, for example, the GIFs that I make, I definitely have an idea what I'm going to do with it. Or say, I'm thinking about a specific double exposure that I want to play around with. And yes, otherwise, yeah, I do go with the flow and kind of see how it goes. But if say, I don't know, a sunbeam coming this way, then maybe I have in my mind, like, okay, I'm going to probably kind of highlight that a lot more in editing or something. Or if there's a lot of contrast in terms of lighting, then I would definitely like increase that and make it a little bit, I wouldn't call my work moody, but apparently it is moody. But just highlighting that and maybe consider, black and white or something. But otherwise, yeah, go with the flow.
Yeah, so my entire session is planned. So depending on where we're shooting, I know where the light is going to hit and how we're going to be moving, like how fast can we move, and at that location, what kind of pose that I want to do. And then, like you said, like if there's a situation where it's like a light beam that comes through, like through the clouds, if I add, like in my head, I'm like, if I add that in, what can I take out? And so I'm trying to match the time in terms of like what to do at what time and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, planned.
Well, I guess something else I can think of right now is like, say, there may be a lot of clutter or something, or if I can't move it out, then in my head, I'm okay, I'm going to have to remove that in post or something, or otherwise, yeah, that's as far as I go.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how many questions we even went through, but I think that was fun.
Yeah, no. When we decided that we're going to do this, I thought there may not be enough questions to make it 1 hour.
Or be really boring.
There's so many questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you everyone for sending in all those questions. We definitely enjoyed it. I think it's probably everyone knows, like hot take's been quite a popular for Pauline and John. I mean, I do enjoy it as well, but I mean, it's never something that I can prepare ahead of time because I don't know what the questions are and I don't know what those hot takes are. But anyway, I think just like the hot takes, I think the Q&A were very interesting, and I think it's something that it's a question that we haven't really asked ourselves. So it was kind of nice to hear in terms of like what our thoughts were in those situations. And it's always nice to hear from someone you work with and someone you trust in terms of their work ability goes, to see like what's the positive side of the side of our work and what we're doing well and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so I mean, we still have a lot of questions left, so we'll probably do the Q&A number 2 for some other time. In that meantime, please send in more questions as we do more episodes. We'll always welcome those questions. It's different. So yeah, that was nice. So what are we doing next? We'll be talking about some of the backend software we use to help our business operate. We want to so sort of like spoiler alert, I guess. We want to talk about AI stuff in the future episodes. So this isn't going to be a complete AI sort of focused topic, but it's going to be more of all different kind of software that we use. You'll be surprised in the number of software we do use to expedite the whole process and just make the job a little bit easier. That way we can deliver the photos to you guys a little bit quicker too. Yeah, there'll be a ton of things to kind of talk about. All right. Well, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. And then you can watch us on Spotify and YouTube. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.